mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of me. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dream. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't really. It ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun, it's an everyday thing. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Harama beef.
Peace and greetings, family. Happy Sunday. This broadcast is brought to you by mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading funds the mental. Also brought to you by bindedbooks.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to check out my son's teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared. Don't forget about those musical stylings by BH Bay Music. That's bhbaymusic.com. And for your everyday items and religious regalia, be sure to check out Moorish Haberdasher. That's moorishhaberdasher.com. And for your everyday Moorish drip, be sure to check out moresachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today. And without further ado, we introduce to you Sheik Kari Goodman Bay.
What up, family? What up, Brian?
Peace.
What up, Zoe?
Peace.
What up, Malik? What up, Lee? What up, everybody? Adrian, what's up, family? Noble Barclay, family and friends, mom and dad, everybody in the world. We come from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Like I said, we love all our brothers and sisters. What we do here is unite. We're not here to argue or disagree with anyone. But here at the BBT, we're a group of brothers and sisters that identify as Moorish Americans. We don't identify with nothing illegal. We're not sovereign citizens. We do things the right way, and we operate under all the laws. So with that being said, man, I know a lot of people be asking us, for literature and etc. As Noble Brian showed in our introduction. Not only do we have these companies, but when we're on here live, when we're demonstrating and when we're teaching, all you have to do is send us a shout out. When my muftis, when my ministers be live through the week or having book club, get with the brothers. We willingly will share the wisdom with you. That's what we want here. That's what we want at the BBT, So at the BBT, like I say, man, everybody can get the literature. I don't want to stay into it of how the BBT believe, because you can get it, the divine pattern of the Mosaic Tabernacle. If no one have it, you can get it. This is how the BBT believes. I don't want to stay in it too far because I want to get into the topic of teaching today. So I do recommend you guys get it. If you don't have it, you can get with me, email me, send me a message, be like, hey man, whatever, I'll make sure you can get it. It's no problem. So with that being said, Islam, everybody?
Islam.
Okay. I know today's Sunday, but I wanted to teach a little bit. Peace, Noble Cash. Peace. But I just wanted to teach a little bit and just have a conversation with my brothers and sisters, because it's a lot of, how can I say it? There's so many levels of truth and falsehood. And the thing about spirituality, especially about what we promulgate here at the BBT, not what nobody else promulgate, because I'm not here to talk about what nobody else may believe in. All I'm here to do is give it to you and give yourself as a free person, as a adult, to be able to make any decision that you want to make as a grown-up individual, to sit down and have a cipher and have a group of brothers and sisters that you can have some similarities with. And that can have a clear understanding, not to argue, not to debate, none of those things, you know? So I do recommend any of my brothers and sisters that may be new to our page. If you don't know who we are, the BBT, you know, I really suggest that you hit us up, get the divine pattern of the Mosaic Tabernacle and the Moor Salat, how we at the BBT believe and what we promulgate. And then we also have a plethora of books that we gathered and compiled that breaks down this Moor science, breaks down the Fez, breaks down Sufism, breaks down the triple roles. And so that's what we do here at the BBT. And we're not here to tell no one or to convert any individual to anything. So it is one nationality in many cultures. So now we should be able to, because I've had the pleasure to be able to go to academia. Some of us have, some of us haven't, you know, and some of us don't have to if you're able to, you know, do research and be introduced to a certain type of understanding. But if other people that don't look like you and I, that say European Albion, Trelodike, whatever you want to call it, my brothers and sisters, and they're educators and they know about Noble Drew Ali and they have written books, why will we as a people sit up here and make a mockery or say anything about something that we may have only heard off the internet and not understanding any historicalness to who we are? I want to talk about this from just of understanding level, not to debate with anyone, because it's so many Europeans, whatever you want, Albions, whatever you want to call them, brothers and sisters, that I know that wrote of Noble Drew Ali, Peter Moon. It's another professor called Spencer Dew. He wrote a book called The Aliyhites. And so it's so much. Peter Moon wrote about the Spandu mystery, and all in there it talks about the prophet and some other high generals in the government and the military. So what I want to talk about today, brothers and sisters, is a little history. So Noble, if you can put the BeeHive on there, let's go through a little history. Let's go through a little history. And this is the type of history that should be shared with our children. I hear a lot of stuff in the background, but this is how we should be sharing this information with our children, giving them something to compare to have a conversation, to bring up things. If I'm able to speak to other nationalities about this history, if I graduated from university and with honors and be able to cross study, I have to have some level of understanding. I didn't say I was a know-it-all, but I said I had to have some level of understanding. On the spiritual level, aka religious level, whatever you want to call it, the historical level, and the business level. Why? Because I've been in the fire. I didn't say I was better than no one. Understand what I'm saying? We're supposed to use, how can I say this, like our Morse Quran says, Noble Brian, in chapter, 5? These are the tools in the toolbox. We're supposed to use our tools. So in this analogy, let's put the tools in the form of a man, in the form of a woman. Then that way, if I'm telling you I'm a tool, then you're supposed to use me. If you are a so-called Mason or a so-called noble, you don't see that I'm a tool? You can't see that with your eyes? You can't see that with your eyes. I'm telling you, I'm a tool. I'm telling people I'm your brother. Why do we look at each other with the form of, oh, he think you know? I didn't say that. I'm your brother. I'm a tool. You go buy a tool to fix a problem. This is what I'll be telling my people. If I'm accepted in any other houses, this is what I'll be telling every more that meet me on Instagram and everything. You might not like my candor, but I'll tell you, if you come around me, my spirit, my understanding, and the way people deal with me on all levels, professional levels, you will understand how we operate. And I'm in the so-called red state, which is Arizona. I don't have no problem. And all my muftis know it. This is what I'm saying. Right. When I say this is a real demonstration. The demonstration is you and I, the life we live, the things that we do in our lives, the brotherhood, the children, the things that we do in our culture. We're going to speak on it because we could talk about the spirituality aspect all day, which I get, but it got to be some common denominator that regardless if you call it this or that or the other, okay, forget that. One nationality, many cultures. One nationality, many cultures. Okay, so if that's the case, excuse me. Now let's deal with some science. Because if I was in a Zulu dealing with Credo Matua, you wouldn't have no problem. If anybody know who Credo Matua is. If I was dealing somewhere else dealing with the Sheikh Moradine, Bamboo Falls, in another part of the continent, that's a Sufi, you wouldn't have no problem. Because they all understand a form of Islam. The Islam that I'm talking about, the esoteric, no disrespect what I'm saying. Everywhere I go in academia, dealing with other people that know a little something, that's educated, that have access to the research and to the information, no matter what nationality that they identify as, teachers, lawyers, judges, etc. They say you 100% right every time. You know, and I don't even have to say names and things. I just be telling people what not to do, because there's a lot of things that a person won't tell you and be clear of it and watch you go through a burning house and get burnt all up. So let's deal with this science. Let's deal with a little bit of, and I call this a schoolmaster. This is not even high science. When I talk about literature and documents and things, man, if you have any type of wisdom, if you've been under the wisdom to be able to have access to a plethora of research, to a plethora of holy books, to a plethora of esoteric books, to a plethora of history books, to a plethora of science books, to a plethora of metaphysical books, health books, no matter what a man is promulgating, nothing is new. So it's always going to be something that trumps something. So when I talk about the home study, the herbology for home study, and I say, and I give credit to Dr. Sebi, but if Dr. Sebi was in the flesh, he know who the herbology for home study is, what that whole document consists of. When I'm saying somebody have to be introduced to the information to give it to people, because it's nothing new under the sun. This is what I be telling my brothers and sisters. I'm just a tool.
Islam.
We got to understand that today. I'm a tool. We make everything so prosperous. We have time for everything else. No, we should have time. You know? So let's deal with this. This is why I'm here. I'm not here for no one to be jumping on my page and, oh, can you nationalize me, or saying some this and that and the other, or this and, or you're not this and you're not that. No one can tell me who I am. I tell you who I am. Under oath, Declaration of Human Rights, Article 15, you have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. No one will be arbitrarily denied of a nationality or a right to change it. And the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. No, I have the right to do this. When I ask people about the House Joint Resolution 75, they have no idea what I'm talking about. So I don't even have to go on and on and on. So let's look at a little bit of symbology. This symbol of the industrious Moors, you know, while at the same time covering, yes, sir. The BeeHive, This is the symbol of all industrious Moors. The Prophet Noah Drew Ali said to be industrious. All I'm trying to do here is give reason for you to have something to compare to. Industrious don't mean break the law. Industrious don't mean you some oxymoron, which is some sovereign citizen. I would want you to use your hippocampus. I would want you to teach this same science to your kid. And if anything that you promulgating out here as an adult out here in the streets with your so-called clique or whatever the brothers may profess to be, no disrespect to no one, and you won't pass that same wisdom and understanding and so-called light to your children, then you're doing something wrong. That's just a fact. That's no slander, no disrespect to anyone. If you understand your divine creed and our bylaws, everything, if you understand what the prophet said, your ID for your salvation. You know, stop flashing your ID. It causes confusion. ETC, our divine creed, our proclamation. It don't tell us to be doing what these individuals doing out here. So when you look at this pictorial, the Moors of North, South, and Central America, referred to as Black, Latino, African, Indian, and West Indian, etc. Direct point. This is what I be trying to tell brothers and sisters. I say, man, you have to start thinking clearly when you read things. You have to start asking a lot of questions, and then the question should make sense. No one should arbitrarily explain anything to you. That's why when I talk about peer-reviewed scholarly research, so let's look at it. Look at the direct to the point. Look at what we're getting ready to look at. Look at this pictorial. The above labels were coined to conceal the true identity of the Moors by their conquerors, just as Napoleon attempted to hide the Moorish features. This was the origination of the 21-gun salute. Have y'all ever heard of the 21-gun salute? Just like I showed y'all in the Battle of Bunker Hill.
Yes, sir.
How they whitewashed Peter Selman and Oliver Cromwell out of the Battle of Bunker Hill. And I showed y'all how they taught that at school. You know? And we perpetuate this like we tell our children and other people that the so-called devil is beneath the earth and God is in heaven. And we play this up like the myth of Santa Claus. We keep a lie going and it passes on through generations. And see, what I be telling people, these are the conversations that I'll be able to have with people when they say, well, who do you speak with, Sheik? Man, I'm able to speak on college campus. Man, I can show you all in the Netherlands and take you and tell you the history of Swarty Pyatt, Black Pete. When I'll be showing people the Corsica flag, and it's just the Moor's head with the bandana. I can start showing you all in certain areas, man, and in certain documents. When you look up the memoirs and the Secret Service of John Mackey, I can start showing you all them earls of this, Earl of Binghamton, Earl of Middleton, all them. And in this diary and in this document, he say they were tall and dark, short and black, this and that, all through the history. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that you are the only people of the world. That's not what I'm saying. But what I'm saying, what you thought it was, it's not what it is. And I'm coming from love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, from scholarship. When I talk about all those earls that they were talking about, that in the memoirs of the Secret Service of John Mackey, Earl of Abington, Nottington, the first one they call him of a black complexion. Nottington, a tall, thin, very black man. He is very black man. The Earl of Middleton, they call them all so-called black. In that context, stay with me. I'm just setting a precedent. So when you look at this above picture that y'all just saw, that direct to the point, the above label, it was coined the identity of the Moors, the 21-gun salute. And we perpetuate this like we keep this lie going on. So when you look at these words, black, in this context, it's not a nationality, nor does it relate to a nation of people. You know that black is an adjective, just like they in Geneva Bible, the 1599 more. You should know that. I don't call this, if my shirt is blue and somebody else got on a different color shirt, and you say, what Kareem he have on a blue? You would say he have on a shirt, but you would say he have on a blue shirt. I mean, I hope this is elementary. There never was a nation. It never was a black nation. And when people want to argue with all that barking, all we have to do is deal with the 13th, the 14th, the 15th Amendment. All we have to do is deal with manumissions. All we have to do is deal with Reconstruction laws and have a clear intellectual conversation on really what's going on, and look at the Constitution and look at everything instead of a person just throwing catchphrases. I bet you nobody can say anything. And that's from all love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. You will have a clear understanding. It won't even take an hour. You know, if you look up the word black in a dictionary, it denotes everything that harms. You mean that the white man dictionary per se? This is what people be saying. The only language of an African American often knows is the language he or she was taught. That's the case. Black does not denote a nation origin. And when I show you black was never used to describe ethnicity in the first century, this is no slander. This is no disrespect. This is the things that I was able to bring to academia. No professor could say nothing. I say black wasn't even used to describe ethnicity in the first century. It was in a theater for the black curtain to come down. So, Noble Brian, you want to kind of speed up the picture a little bit, because we don't want that picture to be shown. They might try to flag me. So pull that picture up. Yeah, gratitude. Because when I shared that one book, y'all, when I shared this one book, and I ain't gonna show the picture of it, I'm gonna show the back. They flagged my page one time. It's called Without Sanctuary, the Lynching in America. And I recommend everybody, as soon as I started talking about it, I said they're gonna flag me. And I told my wife, as soon as they did, they suspended my page for about 30 days, because you can show all type of niggardly stuff, but when you show history, things that's available to the hand, that should be taught in schools, in academia, it's a problem. They say it's this or it's disrespectful. So I don't want to be disrespectful, but I illustrate that picture. That's why I be telling a lot of people, you want to have the information. You want to be able to get your hands on the information, Noble Brian. Why? Because when they make things obsolete, or when they continue to make things out of your hands, you're gonna be wondering why. Be like, damn, I remember the brother, I remember the sheik, I remember him and his brothers was talking about this. I remember he was talking about that book, Russian Icons, that's on Amazon for stacks, and they had it. He converted to PDF, and he would print it or give it to me PDF. This is the cipher that I'm talking about. Why? Because if others think it's a value to it that don't look like us, that's educated, that's using this for power, why not us? This is what I'm saying. How to understand the understanding of who you are is very vital to understand the economic game. It goes hand in hand. You got to understand it. This is what people be saying. It's rules, and they don't understand it. We be trying to skip the rules. You can't skip the rules. But I don't want to stay too far in them pictures. I want to even Ethiopian. You know, they didn't call you Ethiopian. You know, and they say these pictures are disturbing, but some of them pictures is slaves being branded. I can tell you where to find this stuff at. That's what I'll do. I'll tell you where to find it. So if I was doing a lecture on a college campus and a person will have questions at the end, or I like to slow down, and however I'm demonstrating or I'm teaching, you know, and right now in this setting, say if my brother was around, they might raise their hand and I'll answer, and they might want to write down the information where I quoting the information, or 9 times out of 10, if you came out, 10 times out of 10, if you came to my physical lecture, Noble Brian, you'll already have the information. So you'll just be highlighting the information as I'm going, and I'll be telling you what page I'm on to highlight it. So it'd be easy for anyone to come in there and follow along and be able to not only have the information, but regurgitate the information. You see what I'm saying? And put it in a fashion to where it's easily, how can I say, not only accessible, but how can I say, able to retain. So the branding slaves on the east coast of Africa, previous to embarkation by Nathan Currier. This was in 1845. The next picture was, you don't have to show the picture neither, Noble. Wilson Chin, Wilson Chin, WILSONCHINN, a branded slave from Louisiana, also exhibiting instruments of torture used to punish slaves. C, domestic females, slaves, Zanzibar. And so when we talk about the word Ethiopian, you were not Ethiopians because it meant the demarcation line of a, geographic location. The correct name was Abyssinia. And you now call yourself African American. So remember I told y'all Africa, no disrespect, was never named after a European. I did that lecture a plethora of times. You can go back on my page and see it. I don't have time to go all the way back and regurgitate all that information because it'll take up all the time that I'm demonstrating. But I'll be showing you how we can fall for fallacy. And then won't sit with a person to say, okay, well, here you go, and take this information and ask this question and boom, boom, boom. And I guarantee you're going to come up with the same answer that was given to you. Why? Because not only I gave you the answer, I gave you the question, the answer, and where to find it, and the research. Why? To build what? The perfect tabernacle. Scipio Africanus captured a Spanish Moor, who he named the Continental after Scipio Africanus. So when we deal with words, Indian, the word derived from indigo, color stained or dyed. This is what so-called Christopher Columbus, whatever you want to call it, named the Moors, and by tribal names to conceal their true identity and bloodline. Remember in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, they tell you what an American is. Look it up for yourself. It says an American, the copper color races. And then it says more, but I want you to research it. This was a deal between the popes, the kings, and the queens, written in the law of conquest. And if you know anything, and if you know any these Moors referred to as Indians, they will tell you that they are not Indians, but that is what the so-called, the other man called them. So when we talk about things in history, when I was living in Tucson, that's a desert area in Arizona, I met a lot of misnomer Spanish and Dominican Moors. I got a picture on my page. I don't know if y'all seen it with me and that elder gentleman had the shirt with the star and had Moorish American, Moroccan all on his shirt. Used to come to my store every day. I used to have my fez on. So what I'm saying is we should be operating under love when we have something in similarity. As I proceed, the Spanish were European descendants that also were following the law of conquest. They conquered the aboriginals of the portion of the land, killed off, no disrespect, the black, the brown, the so-called yellow, and the red, mixed their blood, and after generations produce a lighter shade. This is what some of the history says. Just like when you talk about mulatto, you can start piecing history together and start saying, well, what does a mulatto consist of? It's no disrespect. It's doing history. It's doing taking words and understanding that words are synonymous. When you understand, it's no slander to anyone, but you're able to have a clear understanding of what's going on. Think about it. Remember, the son always does the bidding of the mother. Research when you see Merinos. Understand what I'm talking about. You had dark Moors with Spaniards, Watch, look, man, it's no disrespect to no one. They were, listen, they were there, but under certain names. Remember Moriscos or Moros? Just like when we talk about names, and when everybody be saying, well, if we're Moors, do we have to get rid of our slave name or anything this? Because see, this is when I take information, and when I'm able to dissect it, when I look at it, I just don't take things for face value. And I say, okay, now if we doing anything history, because right now I want to teach and I want to show people things. I just don't want to go with the flow. No one, I can say no one named you, especially when I talk about your coat of arms. When I talk about your coat of arms, or AKA your family crest, and when you start seeing your name all through history and all over the world, your name is royalty. You just got to understand that you may lost your royalness. You may lost that chiefdomness. That's what I'm telling you. That's what I tell a lot of people when I say, I hear that when they say you're lave the slain, they just, no, I don't rock like that. Okay, Noble Drew Ali didn't change his name. His name was Timothy Drew. Timothy Drew. He annexed it. What? His Ali to his name. Timothy Drew Ali. His name was Drew Ali. I mean, I don't know what people be saying. There's no disrespect. Moorish is simple. You know, everybody know what this means. As we start showing pictures, you know, and pictures, Moors define the word Moor. I'm on the next page, Brian. Based on the profession and the you, not black, due to the meaning defined by Webster's dictionary. Remember what I talk about words when you research things. When I talk about brunette, do y'all know brunette is a copper color? Did y'all know that?
Yes, sir.
Yes, indeed.
Okay. So we're talking about history here on a Sunday. Moors define the word Moor based on the profession and the you, not black, due to the meaning defined by Webster's dictionary. So you have tawny Moors. Now remember, when I break down history in here, it say ARB, but as we correct history and linguistics, we know a true ancient Arab is spelled different. It's ARAP, and it's not a modern Arab. And it's no disrespect to no one. You can fact check me. Get a book by get a book by Bertram Thomas. It's called The Arab. Get a book by Bertram Thomas. Bertram Thomas. It's called The Arab. And then you can come back and have a real intellectual conversation. And the Egyptian Moors of a lighter hue. We must keep in mind that this was due to interracial relations, voluntary during the Moors' law of conquest. So what I'm here to paint the picture, I'm not here to paint a picture of this person is right, this person is not right. What I'm doing to show you is that you have a rich heritage. And you're not no slave, you're not no Negro, black, and color. Is there some people that identify as slaves, brought here on the ship? Maybe so. I'm not here to argue that. We can talk about, but when you want to deal with the numbers and things and history and what was accounted for, you're gonna have to remove your feelings when you deal with me, because I'm gonna use your information against you, and I'm gonna show you from all the scholars, they're gonna show you it never happened like that. From love. It's a lot of Italians, Spanish, Russian, Turks, Germans, Jews with Moorish blood. Some will say that they have misnomer black ancestors. Many of them don't like it, but the truth expels the myth of a lie. The Normans were Moors. Research real history. It's no disrespect. They are the ones that built the Westminster, where they call England today. The Northern Italians has a percentage of Hannibal blood in them. The Moors conquered Spain. The so-called Latinos has a great percentage of blood, even though many of them classify themselves white on the application when asked what is their ethnicity. Just like a lot of people from the continent of Africa. Just like when I tell brothers and sisters, I'm not here to argue with no one. I'm not saying black is not beautiful. I never said that. Hell, gray beautiful, green beautiful, but black is not your nationality.
Islam.
I mean, I'm just saying, Brian, we can, I'm just sitting here having an intellectual conversation with our brothers and sisters, not to tell no one what to believe in and what not to believe in. We're painting a picture to say, wait, don't let nobody tell you this was the Moors or the Moors was some person that don't look like you or don't identify. Just like your cousin. Your cousin can be high, misnomer yellow, with a straight nose, with curly hair. You can have another cousin with kinky hair, big nose, with beanie eyes. Am I right about what I'm saying, Brian?
Absolutely.
Okay. So what I'm saying is I'm painting a picture. The blood that runs in the veins. See, we were the Moors of North America, first deprived of birthrights. When I say birthrights, don't nobody owe you nothing. You can't. When you hear these words, I don't care if you're young or old, especially if you're an old brother, and you think you got some secret wisdom that's going to help you magically get something or get out of something. Your birthright is your intellectual capacities. You understand it. Your birthright is understanding who you are. Your birthright is understanding how to do business, how to do commerce, how to identify, how to operate when you're doing commerce, when you're doing anything in life, when you signing your name as this, that, and the other, when you're using the laws and the powers, when you understand, when you have a clear understanding. That's what this is about, your birthrights, what you have the rights to do. This is what I'm talking about. So I don't want to stay too far about Philadelphia. And at one time, it was the second capital of the United States. It was New York under the name Belgium, Amsterdam. Philadelphia was second, and Washington, D.C. was third. All you got to do is start looking at older things and older historical books. But Philadelphia was the capital that our forefathers' records were kept. Y'all got the book. The Negro, AKA, is the Black Amora. Y'all got the science. It'll take me too long to go back. And that's why nobody can deny what I'm saying, because we can go back and reference other things and fact check it and then see who kept the things from you. It wasn't no disrespect. It wasn't no European. No disrespect. It wasn't no so-called white man. No disrespect. It was your own brother. It was a group of religious brothers. There's no disrespect. The world is waiting for us to come together. I'm telling you. These is facts. Now, what's synonymous to slave, Negro, black, or colored? When people be talking about filling things out like the census, see, this is the stuff that I wanted to talk about today. When a person that think they so smart, this is what they say. Well, I'll make a box and pick other. And I say, okay. And if I'm in charge of these documents, I'm balling your paper up and throw it in the trash, Malik, because you made this document void. How? It's obsolete. You don't even. I said circle on this document I put in your face. I told you to circle one. That's you. All that pertain to you. What you do? Well, I ain't this. You trying to be slick. You gonna make a box and say other. Well, you made this you made this document trash. You make this document trash. No disrespect. And if anybody with any wisdom and understanding tell you just pick black, something wrong. No disrespect. Something is wrong. This is the conversation that was asked for me to speak on. And was like, brother, could you please speak on yes, we understand the spirituality. But it got to be something us as a people can come to, because in more science, we don't diss anything. But look at the Moors with the bays and L's. When we talk about reclaim our surnames, when I talk about annex, nobody told you your last name was some slave name except a group of religious people. And we have to be honest. Who told you your last? Because my last name damn sure ain't no slave name. Now my last name Goodman. I don't come from no family of slaves. I come from royalness. I come from the Goodman family crest. I come from the Goodman coat of arms. What are we talking about? I ain't saying wasn't nobody no slaves. I ain't say that. But what are we saying? What should we be saying? What should we be promulgating? You should be able to tell your story. This is what deprived you of your birthrights, where the laws were made. Think about it. Reclaiming means to go back. And it's that easy. Man, if you could talk to any brother that love you, especially if they're European Masons, and they'll tell you that they are son of a Muslim. They'll tell you that I'm not telling you nothing that they don't know. I'm not even in high science yet. Every European, they'll tell you that they are son of a Muslim, but you don't want to be. Why is that? I'm coming from love. I'm your brother. We should have been picked this up. Hell, listen, man. We come from a clear understanding. We're talking about cousins and brothers. We're talking about houses. We're talking about brothers in two houses. One go away, one is go away. What? They both prophetic. We don't miss the whole. We missing the whole ship, brothers and sisters, of the unity, the you and I. And we've been conditioned. Remember the movie The Rise of the Planet Apes? This was a good analogy that the author used. We are not saying that we are related, because we're not. But two examples denote this demonstration of conditioning. So this is what the author is saying. When the main ape, Caesar, opened the cage for the big ape to be free, he stepped out for a second and went back in. So the author is using other sciences from other authors. I take that as a state of conditioning. And in the Clock of Destiny, C.M. Bay says that. Said that Julio or Julius Caesar was a Moor. Just like when you start seeing different things and looking at things and being able to look at monuments, how they changed them, no disrespect, and whitewash things, you'll be like, man, you will see how in the book of Maccabees, no disrespect, it said how the heathen, the Gentile, tried to whitewash themselves in the history books. And then when I show you in the book, The Russian Icons by Vladimir Ivanov, this is a book that costs a grip, The Russian Icons, and they show you how they're trying to whitewash them. It's no disrespect. Even after the Second Capital City Hall presented us with the resolution that people refuse to reclaim their Moorish descent. You can go to any mayor's office in any city hall and with a clear mind, ask them, what were Negro, blacks of color called before the Civil War? Because they got the document in there. What I'm telling you why we don't operate and come together, because it's conditioning, it's fear, comfort, and ignorance, meaning not being aware of the subject that at hand. So when we talk about all these different names or identities, I wanted us to be clear today. West Indian, there is not much to speak on regarding this label, because you will find that many people from the Caribbean islands despise this label because they know that it derives from the races of Christopher Columbus. They prefer to say that I'm Caribbean and not West Indian. But many of them lack the knowledge of the Maroons. Who? Queen Nanny of the Jamaican Maroons. Research, it's a lot of science. When I don't be here to disrespect my brothers and sisters, but we have to know all through history, you can see that everybody identified with their coat of arms or their Moorish legacy. All through what the Vatican hid about the Sibyls, about the empresses, the Mami Wata, and all that legacy, that everybody knew that they were Moors per se. But us, it's no disrespect. They are the Maroon descendant and not Caribbean because both names denote a geographic location. It's the same thing with blacks calling the locks dread, not understanding that dreadlocks is very offensive to a Maroon, a woman and a child, if you understand the context. Moors, some of us or some of you will say that the word Moor is English. But first off, you got to understand and you got to let it reveal to you about what you call the English language. A lot of time our conditioning made us a dependent thinker. The Anglo or the Anglican and the Saxons were German tribes and did not speak what we call English. But they spoke German, sprechen die Deutsch, and we speak a bastardized German, just like Yiddish. Now that the bomb was dropped. So when I point out the different way nations classified the word Moor, M-O-O-R, M-O-R-O-S, M-A-R-O-O-N, M-O-R, Blackamoor, B-L-A-C-K-A-M-O-R, M-O-O-R-I-A-N, M-O-R-E-L, M-A-R-A-N-O, Maurice, M-A-U-R-I-C-E, Mora, M-O-R-A, Morisco, M-O-R-I-S-C-O, Moore, M-A-U-R-E, Morris, M-O-E-R-S, Morit, M-O-R-E-T, Moore, M-O-H-R, Maurice, M-O-R-R-I-C-E. And if anybody love Dr. Yosef Ben Jochanan, I'm not saying nothing different from what the elder was showing us in his time, in his lifetime. Peace be among him. That's why I'll be asking more when we be sitting having conversations about things, and they say, "Well, man, yeah, I study Dr. B and Joe." I say, "Well, why you don't like what I'm saying?"
But the most constant thing in all of those names are the M and the R.
You say what, Brian?
I say the thing that remains consistent with all of those names are the M and the R.
Yep, absolutely. So many African Americans dispute the word more. And when people be saying all the European, all this, I'm here to tell you, they know it's only us that's out here making a mockery and making a fool of who we are and what we ain't, because we can't agree. I ain't met not one, no disrespect to nobody. I ain't met not one European since I've been in Arizona to disagree with what I'm saying. On a college campus, my Mormon European colleagues, my European Jewish colleagues, my Christian Jewish colleagues, the Presbyterian European colleagues, none of them, even the Masons, the Scottish Rite Masons that I know out here, they don't disagree with nothing I'm saying. Nothing, not one. Because I showed y'all one of the colleagues when he demonstrated Noble Drew Ali, he gave homage to Noble Drew Ali on his 135th birthday. And he showed books and he showed documents. And he said, I don't know why the Nation of Islam and the Masons and all of them act like they don't know, because they all knew. They had to be. And I showed y'all the documents where it was given to the Nation of Islam twice in history. We're not here to discredit nothing. What I'm trying to show y'all is we have this power. So if I'm telling y'all we have this power, what I'm saying, we have to resurrect it. The power is not lost. The power is not lost. This is what I'm telling my brothers and sisters. It's simple. Well, when two or more gather, the information must be shared. We're talking about energy. Think about what I'm saying. Look at this internet. This is power. It's us disputing the word. But if they did any research or study different languages, they will find that that in Europe, it was spelled and pronounced differently. But it all comes to we were last known to be of Moorish blood. This is what I want to teach today. I got a little bit more time. This list goes on and on. When brothers be talking about the clock of destiny and they say, yeah, I got that. But have you studied it? Have you understood it? To remove the veil of religious dogma, you should be able to take any piece of science and read it and dissect it, especially if you were a group. That's what group study is about. If you was taking one of my college courses, I don't separate the brain. What I do, I teach you the ground rules. I tell everybody in my syllabus, this is, if y'all want to study together, everybody had a notes and we operate as a group, because in life, that's how things are going to get handled. So everybody carry their own weight. You study together, you research together. When it's time to handle this real business, you are what? One body in many parts. This is what I'm saying. This is how the body works. This is what we're here. We're not here to discredit nothing. We're here to use the tool that's in our toolbox. So if you understand anything, it's in the clock of destiny. It reveals to you, and it reveals to you today. Then ask a foreigner based on the language of the word more. Ask anyone. And the majority of blacks would not be aware of the history, because high schools and universities was and still is forbidden to teach this. They have a thing in academia, brothers and sisters, called a reading list. I know this for sure. Why? Because I graduated from academia. I had to go in the libraries. I had to go into the doctoral libraries. I had to reach out different universities in Europe and things and be introduced to their libraries and be an understudy of other professors and chairs of different division and make relationships. When I tell people I'm part of the Philosophical Research Society, I was able to get introduced to a plethora of wisdom, a plethora, you know. And if they did, they will try to paint them in the image of themselves, like they did Yahshua, and the French did the Egyptian paintings. It's no disrespect. When I say in our Moorish Quran, the uniting of Asia, when I say you can't have no biased eye out here with the people in the world. Listen what I'm saying. Mexicans are Moors based on the clock of destiny. The history clearly explains as to why the ancient Moabites, the Moorish nations, are called Mayan, Indian, Inca, Aztec, Texans. The Mayan order of the Great Pyramid, University of Yucatan, was founded by the Moor, the M-U-U-R, the L-U-A-K-K-I-N-E-L, for the guidance of the generations of the Moorish nations to manifest upon physical, mental, spiritual, and metaphysical plane. When you research the science of life through the infinite cycles of evolution. Look at this pictorial, brothers and sisters. Queen Philippa, England's first so-called Black queen. Remember, I'm just reading off the documents. You know, they didn't use Black in first century. So if we wanted to have a linguistic conversation, we would, and we'll be highlighting and underlining everything, but we're not doing that. But I just want to know, make emphasis of it. Don't get caught up when I say Black. English so-called Black queen, the mother of the Black prince. Philippa was the daughter of William of Hainaut, a lord in part of what is now Belgium. When she was 9, the King of England, Edward II, decided that he would marry his son, the future Edward III, to her, and sent one of his bishops, a Bishop Stapleton, to look at her. He described her thus. And when he described the lady, listen what he said. The lady whom we saw has not uncommonly hair, but twixt blue, black, and brown. Her head is clean shaped, her forehead high and broad and standing, somewhat forward. Her face narrows between her eyes, and the lower part of her face is still more narrow and slender than the forehead. Her eyes are blackish, brown and deep. Her nose is fairly smooth and even, save that it's somewhat broad at the tip and flattened. Yet it is no snub nose. Her nostrils are also broad. Her mouth fairly wide. Her lips somewhat full, and especially the lower lip. All her limbs are well set and unmaimed, and naught is amiss, so far as a man may see. Moreover, she is brown of skin all over, and much like her father. And in all things, she is pleasant enough, as it seems to us. So for 4 years later, Prince Edward went to visit his bride. You know how the story goes. I'm breaking it down for you. Listen what I'm saying. And then the first child was called Edward. So they had children and all this. You know, I don't want to stay too far in the history, but you see the precedent. I'm showing you history. Philippa was a remarkable woman. Remember, she was very wise and was known and loved by the English for her kindness and restraint. She would travel with her husband on his campaigns and take her children as well. And when the king was abroad, she ruled in his absence. Remember, Queen's College and Oxford University was founded under her direction by the chaplain, Robert D. Egglesfield, in 1341, when she was 28. So I want y'all to see what I'm showing y'all. So write this name down, Mark Washington, because we got a little bit more time. We ain't even got deep.
And that's really important, because a lot of the empresses be looking like, okay, where are we? Where are they in history? You know what I'm saying? As far as people that represent them, you know what I'm saying? And it says right here that she helped or added to England's culture in that time span.
Noble. Our empresses all through history. When we talk about Empress Verdice, El Tunic, El Bey, or the Washita, the young D.I. Moors. What we talk, our empresses all through history. And then what the Catholic Church tried to dismay is the symbols. When you research the history, we must be able to tell our story of our rich history and our culture. Moorish nobles, these are referred to as black nobles. Some Europeans classify black nobles to be so-called white, but upon research, you will find differently. So think about it. No disrespect again. When you have a different color Messiah in certain Bibles and homes of Moorish people, you know, even Dominicans and so-called Puerto Ricans, I met a lot of them, and they was under a spell, but came to understand it. Because indoctrination, well, they practiced among many to control the Moorish nation. Many woke up, but many refused to do. It's just like today. When we show pictures and go back, ain't nobody paint no picture of somebody that they didn't see. Ain't no Italian artist paint some picture that they ain't see. Ain't no Italian paint no map with Mansa Musa in the middle that they ain't see. As we start dealing back in history, this is what it was. A Moabite Jurian of Sterrick, 1619, 1673. Most people do not realize how many pictures exist of Moors in Europe. All you got to do is research The Ancient and Modern Britons by David McRitchie. Why the Love of Moors, names, family, crest, geographical indications, all references to the Moor, according to Codefree. As a response to Codefree, he writes, part of the Mortisburg treasurer in the Renaissance with a gold and silver cup in the form of a Moor's head. You see, just like I got the Moor's head on my turban, which was used at highly nobility marriages. Why the Moor's head? The Moor was apparently in high regard. And we have decided to share this with the Moorish brothers and sisters regarding the misnomer, and I like to say the black nobility in Europe, especially. According to the Black Dutch researcher, Egmond Codefree, and the author of the book, Belle van Zuylen's Forgotten Grandmother, there was Moorish nobility in Europe. But their history and images were later carefully tucked away. His claims are controversial and, of course, not accepted by, no disrespect, European historians and the common man. But it's easily researched because I have the documents, just like we showing today. Colford has systematically studied hundreds of paintings of famous and less famous nobility. He regularly stumbled upon people who look black and colored. Colored historic persons was inspired by the chants, finding of a portrait of Maria Jacoba van Gogh. Portrait in the picture, and we get a view of the problems of the methods to identify these Moorish Europeans. This beautiful painting was also a reason to cast an Afrocentric view at Belle van Zuylen's life and her works. The biographies in the origin of her financial fortune through her colored grandmother, the Dutch Belle van Zuylen. Yep, I got you, Noble. So look at these pictures. 1740, 1805, also known as Madame de Carrier or Carrie, joins the ranks of writers as the Russian Alexander Pushkin, the French Alexander Dumas and Colette, the Britons Elizabeth Barrett and her husband Robert Browning, the German classic composer Ludwig van Beethoven, Queen Charlotte of Britain. Look at the pictorial. Queen Charlotte, Sophia. So remember in the biblical scriptures, every time you see the word Sophia or the name, if you understand it, if you have the right eye, it's talking about wisdom, esoteric. Of Mecklenburg, the wife of George III, described by others in her time as a true mulatto face, brown or yellow. Her nose is too wide, and her mouth shows the same fault. So what I'm saying is, noble brothers and sisters, these are the Europeans of great merit who have Moorish forefathers. And also we find that Belle was a friend of Pierre Alexander de Diero, a brown color and wealthy Suriname, a plantation owner in the Swiss. When you start looking at all this history, it'll pop right in your face. When you see, go page up. When you look at a lot of the portraits of the type of women that they saw. The older brother of Constantine, Mortis Huygens. Constantine was one of the most famous poets in the Golden Century. Look at a painting of a French-Swiss painter, Lyotard, 1702. Portrait of a young woman. This is what they saw. And most people do not realize how many pictures exist of Moors in Europe. Why the love of Moors? Names, family crest, geographical indication, all reference to the Moor according to Codefree. I'm showing you coat of arms and family crest. Go to the next page, Noble. As a response, Codefree writes, and I quote, part of the Mortsburg treasure, the Renaissance, with a gold and silver cup in the form of a Moor's head, which was used at highly nobility marriages. Why Moor's head? The Moors was apparently in high regard. Look at all that. Look at all the symbology. I understand captivity and all that, but we're gonna talk about all history, because we could talk about no disrespect to no one. We could talk about white cargo. We could talk about they were white and they were slaves. And when I say white, I'm talking about a different culture that was in the so-called bondage. And I'm just giving the title of the research. I'm not coming from no disrespect. Look at the portrait of an African man, January, Mozart, circa 1474. Harlem, 1552, 1553. Look at this. This is a unique 16th century portrait. This stuff is old. A painting of an African Moor in European clothing with a sword. Portrayed as Habsburg, Burundian nobleman from that period. The self-conscious attitude, clothes, and rich attributes demonstrate a successful assimilation of this man within the cultural norms of the European Renaissance. Look at the brother. Moors were in the 16th century Europe rarely people of distinction. Most of them were imported as slaves in Spain and Portugal. A small number of them were released over the years, but most were employed as servants to the masters per se. It was termed indentured servants. Only the Congo, which in the late 15th century was so-called Christianized by the Portugal, had a special status as a black kingdom, of which the elite was educated in Portugal. Some colonies made it as scholar, clerk, musicians, jesters. Most remain employed in subordinate occupations. So I'm just showing you all through history where you were. And you did have Moors that was converted to a certain lower understanding of Christianity. Some were forced and some voluntarily due to conditions. So what I'm saying is Moors all through ancient Britain, Moors referred to as blacks, Negroes, West Indians, and Africans, all colonial labels placed on us. That's why I say if we can agree to give all slave labels back, because I'm down with reparations too. When people be asking me, oh, but you ain't down with reparations? I didn't say that. I know a Negro, black, or color, or African American is not going to get any reparations. And as long as you identify and self-identify something that's synonymous to slavery, the only people and the only person that ever got paid for a slave here in the Americas is the person that created you. That's why the European, no disrespect, wrote the book, The Negro is a Beast. And they study that from scholarship. White is used just like black is used today. But in reality, there is no such person called black or white. And there is no land named white land or black land. There was only Asiatic and European. And we can talk about Eurasia and we can go all there, but I'm just keeping it in context. But as I go back to the original thought, as the author was saying, Moors referred to as blacks were living in Britain from prehistoric times to present. That's what I'm telling you when they say, well, where do we go? You right here. You, man, the Hebrew, the Moorish American, man, we all brothers, we all cousins. You know, that's what I'm trying to say. I want to speed it up to the next page, a couple pages where it says the Hebrews and the Moors are cousins, because I want to fast forward this a little bit, because I want us to get a clear understanding. There we go. We got to come to an understanding when I talk about us. I don't have no problem with no one else, but until we, the ones that come under the sound mind, have clear understanding, that understand more science is a plethora of tools, and it's not what nobody telling you to do or operate as some oxymoron. You know, it's having a clear understanding. It's having a nation. And a nation don't have nothing with creating your own this or that and another. A nation has to do with what we're going to agree on, how we're going to operate, our bylaws, our divine covenant, us as a nation of what? Of people. But the Hebrews and the Muslims are cousins. I'm so tired of seeing so-called, and this is the thing about when I say my brothers and sisters I lost due to a lack of wisdom, because we refuse to learn. When I tell the Hebrew Israelite, which is a Hebrew Israelite, that's an oxymoron, because you can't be a Hebrew and an Israelite at the same time. But let's stay in the context. When I say as Moors, we are from the tribe of Judah, lineage of David by blood. So I don't have no plight with no brother that's a so-called Hebrew Israelite. But I'm not going to be on the corner arguing with no one. Or the biblical scripture is not going to be the only piece of literature that I understand and cross-reference and use, but I understand your dedication, you know, especially if a brother's not understanding language and how so-called biblical scriptures is written in analogy and parable and symbology, and you have to understand the context. But I'm not here to argue with a brother or a sister or no different nationality, but we can definitely have a clear conversation. Like when I have a conversation with my Mormon brothers and sisters, when I have a conversation with the so-called Latter-day Saints, and I break them down and I show myself in their text. But not only I show myself, I show the light, because regardless of everything, it's going to be light. Regardless, because light is for all that need to see, period. And so, but The so-called Hebrew and Muslims are cousins. Some people look at the word Jew and ask what the relationship with the Muslim is. Well, didn't the so-called Moors or the Jews, okay, they said the Jews ruled Spain for almost 800 years. Well, if the Jews ruled Spain for 800 years, then you say the Moors ruled Spain for 800 years. I hope you know you're talking about the same people. I hope you know that. It's in the name Ishmael. You cannot spell the name Ishmael without spelling Islam. The ISH, the MA, the EL, all have meaning. If you study the clock of destiny and you operate and understanding signs and symbols, and you understand how to put this life cipher together and resurrect not only yourself, but everyone around you and your thought process, you know, the Anak was a misnomer black giant, a descendant of Canaan, the youngest son of Ham. Ham was widely believed to be the ancestor of the Moorish nation. The so-called word Jew does not pertain to a race, nation, or religion. It pertains to a rite of passage. Moors do not hate or dislike no Jew of no fair skin with blue blood. Moorish Americans that understand this and understand the science, we understand that we have common grounds of discomfort and success. That's just what it is. How I operate. And if you understand the clock of destiny, especially in book 2, you learn that no such people exist. You know, even in when we talk about doing extensive research, when we start looking at writers and historians that we may never heard of, that's done the work, that look like you, that maybe was living in a different continent, like Sheikh Anta Diop. And when I talk about John Henry Clark, a lot of Sheikh Anta Diop work, John Henry Clark translated to English. And one of his works, The African Origin of Civilization, it made reference to the megalith. He said these are found only in the lands inhabited by Negroes or Negroids, or in places that they have frequented. So when we're talking about the area that Spicer called the Great Megalithic Civilization, which extends from Africa to India, Australia, South America, Spain, and Brittany. So we're talking about all this Moorish legacy. When you talk about the Phoenician, that's the Phoenician. That was so-called a Negro group en route to pick up from the British mines. So you're talking about a whole people. When you research what I'm saying, this combination of facts should leave no doubt on the Southern and the misnomer Negro origin of the megaliths in Brittany. Yes, the word Negro is used again. The word derives from the Nigger Black River. Or they try to say the Niger. But a lot of things in first century, it'll show you. When many Moors referred to as blacks, they hate the word. And if they understood its original, that the hatred would not be so negative. We got to understand what it is. It's no, man, only thing, words are ancient. We talk about Sanskrit. So when people be saying these European, man, no. And we can deal with scholarship, and we're not even here to argue with anyone. Because you can go all the way back, and there's nothing to even argue with. Phoenicians were also commissioned by the Kemetic king, Nico II, or Nikayo II, to sail around Africa. This was 2,100 years before Vasco da Gama attempted a similar feat, when in 1497 and 1499, he sailed from Portugal to India, look it up, and back again, and around Cape of Good Hope. And according to Herodotus, for all my historians, the Egyptian king Necho sent out a fleet manned by a Phoenician crew with orders to sail around and return to Egypt and the Mediterranean by the Pillars of Hercules. And the Phoenicians sailed from the Red Sea into the Southern Ocean. Research the science, and when you can start seeing things. The Basque in Spain are considered to be a branch of the colony founded there by Moors. Their language is totally different from any in Spain. And for the matter, anyone in Europe. when you start looking at these pictures, Page Up Noble, of people in ancient times, when I say, when you understand your Moorish history and your Moorish legacy, you should not be out here acting as no sovereign citizen. You should not be breaking no laws. You should understand the richness and the wisdom that you have. You should understand what you have the ability to do now today with the minds that we have. Remember, Moors are also mentioned in Welsh folktales, such as the story of Peredur, Peredur, in the Babylonian. It's sometimes referred to in the unflattering terms as ugly, giants, mishappen, and oppressed. Because when you start researching these words, y'all, you have to be like, remember I told y'all words have synonyms. You have to start researching this stuff. And you will start connecting the science. And then you can start going over to Europe and go to the museums, and you will see all of the Moors in their museums. Copper color. All in the Russian icon museums. Copper color. The original knights of Europe, including the knights of King Arthur's Round Table, were dark olive. There was a Moorish Gorman who ruled Ireland at that time of the Anglo-Saxons. There were also Moors amongst the Vikings. Remember, I'm going to give you reference. Here go another reference. Purchase the video Longship or Google it. The Longship, they might have it online. If not, I can pull up in my documents. The first king to unite Norway was Moorish. He was known as Halfdan the Black, Halfdan the Black. He was not called black simply because of the color of his hair, but because he was dark-skinned. An other term for Moor is blackamoor, meaning black as a Moor. You can research this in Nature Knows No Color Line by J.A. Rogers. I'm just setting a precedent. Authors, scholars is telling us this. The Roman Emperor Septimus Severus, who led a conquest of Britain, was a full-blooded Moor, born in what is called today as North Africa. The original name on very old maps, every military map, was called North Mexi, M-E-X-I, Central Mexi, and ETC. Research it. And the premier had this map years ago. I have to pull it up in my files. One of the Moorish Vikings was also known as Thorhall, living at the time of Eric the Red. He was among the crew that took the Vikings to the shores of North Africa, north of Mexico, before the birth of Columbus. He has been described as a large man and strong, black, and like a giant, silent and foul-mouthed in his speech, and always edged on Eric to the worst. He was a bad Christian per se. Also, the Moorish Britons were sometimes referred to as shameless Irish robbers, and the word Scot came to be synonymous with vagabond. Mafia was originally applied to Moors. So what I'm showing y'all, you see the so-called blacks never had history besides what slavery here in North Mexico permitted them to provoke. That's what I'm telling you. I get another book, I get so much history, man, to show you. The One World Tartarians. The European is going to agree with me. I will show you none of this. It happened like that historically. The European is going to agree with me. If it was 200%, 200%. And he's an educator and a scholar. And first century, they got to mark their landings, just like the cartographers did, the map makers in first century. Black historians go back to only slavery in North America. The proper term to apply to these blacks in order to find their true history would be Moor, Cushite, Omic, Spaniards, and later Arab. But in Vladimir Dale's dictionary, his ancient dictionary in the 1800s, Arab is spelled A-R-A-P, and the A-R-A-P is you and I. It ain't no disrespect. I'm not talking about a modern nothing, but I'm talking about the times, the legacy, how you were whitewashed out of history and how your royalness was taken away and some given away willingly because you didn't know who you are. Think about what I'm saying. It's not for nobody to tell you who you're not. It's for you to identify who you are, but you identify with slavery. That don't make no sense. You know?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You know, Moriscos, Morinos, Turks, Saracens. And then later on, you will find Negro, colored, Coons in the 20th, African American. After this, we as Moors, we don't know what it would be. I just wanted to paint a picture for y'all, man. It's so much history. And if anything that we should be able to agree upon, brothers and sisters, is history. The origin of the word blackmail, David McRitchie, tells us that the expression applied by the inhabitants of Wales to the tribute exact from their prince, Meredith, by the Danish pirates, the Black Danes of the year 987 AD, virtually signified blackmail, and moreover, the tribute of the Black Army precisely phrases the tax paid by the Theodosius to Ruglius, king of the Huns, 5 centuries before. It was blackmail that this origin of the term, dangled, was blackmail, equally with the tribute paid to the Black Huns by the Romans. Just like when I showed y'all in Thomas Jefferson's Quran, when they called you a pirate or Corsica. It's all there. So I want us to have a clear eye with this, man. Look at all this rich history. When I say we got to stop arguing over things that make us look stupid, especially religious books. That's the thing we definitely have to stop. Because if we can agree to things on the exoteric understanding of the biblical scriptures. Yes, you have different tribes in the Bible and you have different families. Yes, okay. So then that's how we should leave it. So if that's the case, and we on a continent of Africa, or Cuba, or wherever, with all these different areas and homelands in there, we're not gonna just put ourselves in one box. We're gonna say we're all these people, we all these copper color races, we're all this in one area. We're all that. And David McRitchie was Scottish, you know, and he tell you that the Alpin, the father of Kenneth MacAlpin, Mac means son of, was half Scottish black and half Pictish black. Kenneth the son was the first to unite the two primary branches of Moors in Scotland. Research this history. All through, remember Sheikh Anta Diop, African origin of civilization. The king of Ghana was called Maga, and the word could have originated as far back as the 3rd century BC, like the Sarako language. When you research all the science, so I wanted us to see this clear history. When you can start tracing yourself all through history. I'm kind of fast forwarding it. I'm going to different pages. I'm going to the page where it's talking about Benjamin Banneker, also known as Benjamin Franklin, because we almost done. I just wanted to skim through it. That's why I say here at the BBT, I give you the information. I give it to you for you can have it. I give it to you for have it. That's why I said, if I'm a tool and I say you, man, I'm gonna give you information. I'm gonna tell you how to be smart of what you're doing and don't go in a burning house. And because you can't use brainwash out here in the court of law. Benjamin Banneker, a Maryland Freemore, contributed to the field of science, mathematics, politics, a man of dignified dress and appearance. Remember when I showed y'all on what is that? Thomas Jefferson's Thomas Jefferson's books and all that. And how you see him on the horse and you see the free Moor, the young man in this regalia, and the young man is pinpointing where to go. But that's a whole nother story. Friends said he looked like Benjamin Franklin. Banneker began his studies as a teenager using crude tools. He constructed a clock, the first one made entirely with American parts. Banneker educated himself with books borrowed from a Quaker neighbor. He also established the first almanac. Banneker was appointed in later years to the commission upon Jefferson's suggestion to President Washington. With his Quaker friend, George Ellicott, Banneker chose the sites for the White House, the Capitol, and many other important government buildings. To all the Moors in North, South, and Central America, especially Moorish Americans, under my sound voice, and those that are teachers and leaders, we should know this. Study yourself, just like Ben Bay. You know, I could take you to Harvard and show you that your Moorish legacy is all in there. I could show you to Harvard and Yale and show you, and Princeton, and show you that Moors educated those first students at Harvard and Yale and Princeton. I can show you, because now they're bringing out the documents and they're showing it, and they got monuments in that rich history. Spelman, Oxford University, they all know. They all know. This is no mystery. That's why I say we should operate in richness. Go to the next page where you see them playing chess. Because I'm almost done. I want to jump around and show you pictures. All this stuff can be researched. This chess played by Moors, because the method must be strategical, established, and implemented. Without a well-planned out program, that success is guaranteed to fail. You can see all this stuff. You know, this stuff was told in Oxford and Cambridge, this rich history. You know, it's no mystery. And when you research, you find that Moors played chess for property and not just for sport and play. Every Moor, especially every member, should always value every move you make. You achieve a goal that will bring a valuable return. We got to understand this, man. I don't want to stay too far in things. I want to go to some clear understandings, because I want brothers and sisters to get the wisdom. I'm going to get to the end of what I'm saying, because I want to kind of wrap this up. But a lot of the stuff I have in one of my books of scholars in history that you can get, that kind of goes a little bit deeper into the history. But as being a Moor, as I end, and I always ask brothers and sisters as I leave with questions, what are we decided to invent? What are we deciding to invest in as we use this platform? What legacy are we going to leave to our children or our family? When I tell brothers and sisters, more science is for the family, and we need to be bringing people in. I mean, we need to use this stage to bring people in, so we can go global, if we can have the resources to not only teach spiritualness, to teach education, to teach agriculture. Why? Because we have the time when all of us come together and use all our skills. All the people that follow me, we under and in between the age of 17 and 55 years old. Have you accomplished a skill or achieved a person of letters? When you see all these more, they talk about the white man university, this. No, man, here at the Clock of Destiny thinker, as an adept, as a noble, if that's not your profession, I'm throwing ideas and saying, accomplish some things that you want to do. Let's come together. Let's do some things, or at least a professional license that you can use for this culture, that you can bring back to people as an asset, as a tool, as a publisher, a poet, a singer, a historian, how to get land, information, all these things that we offer at the BBT, how to do websites, how to get you information for a fraction of the price, how to make our own teas, all these things we do in-house, bring you in. Have you decided to be a role model for our young boys and girls, as my noble Malik doing, as noble Lamar doing? They referees and coaches in the real world. This is what I'm saying. We can come together. Man, one of my European colleagues said, I just can't surprise that you're not going through church to church and through all these charter schools with the youth that look like you and teaching this Moorish history. Because he said, clearly, we're not going to do it. but everything you're saying is valid because it can be proven in history. It's on us. We must establish economic security for ourselves and help others to achieve the same thing. I can't say I have a key, Noble Brian, or any of my nobles on here, if I'm not going to share the key. That doesn't make sense. You know? Are you maintaining a good credit score, which determines character in so-called today's society? Some Moors don't believe in credit. That is respected. But the truth of the matter is, unless they are absolutely so-called sovereign, I didn't say a sovereign citizen. When I say absolutely sovereign, that means you don't got to buy nothing from nobody. You don't need nothing. You eating your own, you growing your own food, you're making your own draws. You got your own soap. You're totally dependent on yourself. They will find life to be very hard for them. See, people be getting sovereignty misconstrued. It means being self-governed and not have to rely on anyone or thing.
An example is the Amish community.
You say what, Noble?
I said a good example in current times is the Amish community.
Yes. So when I speak about things and I say I don't have a magic wand, but I do have, it's a system, and everybody can play a part in this system, and everybody can sit down as like minds, as students, and learn the strategy that I have. The house is already built, and I've done this economically, educationally, historically, spiritual-wise. So now it's time for all of us to sit down, to walk out the house in synchronicity. And then once we understand who we are as a group, now it's time to do business. With who? With each other. With each other. And now it's time to do business with each other. This is what I'm saying. Unless you're totally sovereign, then I don't want to hear that you're going to diss economics. Because in the biblical scripture, Ecclesiastes chapter 10, 19, wine is made for laughter, but money trumps all. It's a tool. It's a tool. And so that's what we have here at the BBT. It takes finances, it takes donations, it takes people to do what we do and come together and look at this as a body and sit down. And that's something that we offer. And so that's what I want to share with my brothers and sisters. We have a culture. We have a rich Moorish culture. We are researchers. We are scholars. We are educators. We are divine ministers. We are intellectuals. We are husbands, fathers, sons. We are a community, and we work in a community, and we should be anointing our brothers and sisters that have those specific skills. So with that, anybody got any questions, man, as we close? Anybody got any questions? No?
Time to come together. Time to come together.
That's all I got, Noble Malik. Like I said, I have no hate, no slander, no ill will towards to no one. You know, especially no one that look like me or may not look like me. Man, I come in peace, and love trumps all. And so I understand that. But I understand who I am, and I can stand strong on that. And
What's your shirt?
You say what?
What's your shirt say? What's your shirt say?
You can't have unity without you and I.
Point blank.
You can't have unity without you and I.
That's what we talk about here.
That's what it is, the United of Asia here at the BBT. But we're going to talk about who we are to show you a rich legacy. If they're going to beat you in the head and tell you that you a slave and only talk about your rich culture doing so-called misnomer Black history, then it got to be somebody to combat that, especially to show these kids who they are. And they've done a plethora of things, especially when I show them all the history and the inventions that they did, all the history, surgery, coffee, flying, all the scholars that we have in history, music, the toothbrush. It's so much rich history on all levels of this playing field. And the spirituality talks for itself. So here at the BBT, we're not trying to convert no one under no religious dogma. We're here to tell you that you have a rich history. And if you want to talk about spirituality and different aspects of spirituality, we're here to do that. Because we have a clear understanding of all the religious rites, a clear understanding. And I don't have no problem with none, because I have an understanding of the SO and the XO. And that's what we teach here. You know? So with that being said, man, I give y'all gratitude, man. I thank y'all for taking time out y'all busy day. I thank everyone that gave a small donation to our temple and school. Man, I give y'all much gratitude. If you want anything, if you need anything, or if you got any little questions, all you got to do is hit me up. I can be reached. I can be touched. I'm never going to tell you something that I don't know. I'm never going to tell you something that I think, because you shouldn't care how I think. I'm going to give you something that you can research, and you can make sure you operate in the right way. That's what I want us to know. And once we've been able to get our minds right and operate on love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and then we can move to the next level. What? Being industrious. See, that's the next level of the thing. When I talk about the BeeHive, the symbol of the industrious Moors, when they say our prophet told us to be industrious, what you mean industrious? To do business with us, with each other, to do business with each other, to barter, to do things. No, just like one of my European colleagues told me today, everybody should be getting turbans from you, no matter what they cost. He said, this is one of my European colleagues that get them from me. I got one of my Jewish colleagues that get his yarmulkes for me, get his talents for me. He said, well, I know you. We went to school together. Why wouldn't I? He said, it means something for me when I get my holy garments and my religious regalia from you, sheep. You know, this is what one of the students that I met his whole family out here in Arizona. They get their yarmulkes, they get their talents, everything from me. They get all their Jewish literature, even their ancient Jewish literature, they get it from me. Because I don't come from no biasness, because I know who I am in history. And I come in love. So once we understand who we are and we can walk in synchronicity and do business with each other, then we can talk about being industrious. Then we can talk about doing some real business. Then we can talk about doing things the right way, showing people a strategy, showing the person how to use their business credit, how to set themselves up as a business. You know what I mean? Showing them, telling people what the Duns of Bradstreet is, showing them what articles of organization is, quick 30 accounts, showing you how to set up your articles of organization to open your business name, showing you all this simple stuff, how to register on Duns and Bradstreet. Instead of getting hustled, somebody telling you that they're going to sell you a trade line. No, you're going to build your own line of credit. It's a strategy. You have a certain company and you operating, you doing things, you buying things, which is daily to day operations. If it's being recognized on its own, that's how it get recognized. So this is the industrious aspect that I'm talking about, that I wanted to demonstrate today. But in all, we must know who we are. We must be willing to come to the cipher. We must be willing to give a piece of ourselves to the cipher, man. Come learn, log in. I just wanted to give something special today, you know. And if you don't have the science, like I said, when people give donations, I give the wisdom. I have a full library. Everybody will tell you, with over hundreds of thousands, I got over a million books and documents that I'm willing to share with the whole world for pennies of the dollar that you will have to pay for Amazon. I give you a lot of stuff for free when you support. This is what I want everybody to know. You know, I give you things for what? For small donations. Because if you donate to me and if you donate to my cipher, this is what I tell people. I don't care if you donated $5. I said that means so much to me. Why? Because you could have did anything with that $5. But I know the strength in numbers. Just like I know if 1 million people give $5, what we rocking with. I know if 10,000 people give $40 a month, I know what we rocking with. I know how to add up at the end of the year, we rocking with what, $4 million. So I know it's strength in numbers, and I'm a good steward. But I have something to offer to y'all, and I'm not no gatekeeper where I'm going to keep this information from you, or I'm going to charge you X amount of dollars for any wisdom. I just wanted to speak from the heart today. Yes, I do have companies where I sell items and I sell our regalia and books and PDF books and hard copy books. But when you connected to me, I'm willing to give. If you're willing to support, and I'm willing to give you way more. That's how this relationship works with me. And everybody that know me personally or know how I operate and been in my presence, they know that that's the truth. And that's how we roll at the BBT. The information must be shared. Group economics must be shared. We're not here to diss anyone. We don't have no TV show and we act on here arguing and rapping. We're not on here to diss any elders and say powernomics don't work. Have we used the concepts and have we came together as a people and really illuminated the concepts to make it work? That's what this is about. So that's what I want people to understand about being industrious. Everything that you do in life, I hope you making $1. If not, you total sovereign. I hope we understand about being industrious and creating. Oh, so it's only other people that can create. So that's what I want us to understand today. No matter if we can't agree on our spirituality, which we should as Moors. If you never read the Moorish Quran, our noble Alonzo, he breaks it down because the Moorish Quran is not what you think it is if you never picked it up. I tell people you have to be willing to do the research. You have to be willing to deal with the right type of individual or the right type of groups. It's always a type. That's how we know about the higher and the lower, or the exo or the exo, or the above is below per se. How? Because we have to have some understanding of the two manifestations. This is what I'm telling people, just like the analogy of a clean glass and a dirty glass. I'm opening up my doors for brothers and sisters to share this, to come in and ask questions, especially if we identify as Moors or if we don't identify as Moors, or if we have any questions or you have any concerns, or someone trying to have you do something and you know your heart really telling you like, man, I should ask somebody, but you don't have the connection to ask. I'm here right here. I'm here right here. You can hit me up at any time, long as you make sure it's homage going on at the same time, long as energy is transferred when you're dealing with me. Don't use me and I won't use you, but we can be a source. And that's what I want to share with my brothers and sisters. I love everyone on here today. So with that being said, if don't nobody have anything they want to share, or if nobody don't have anything they want to add, man, let's do our Moorish American prayer and let's get out of here.
Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is my protector, my God, my salvation. By night and by day, through his holy prophet, Drew Ali. Man, I say, Shalom Aleichem, Ashar, Islamism, peace, 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 Salam, Asher.
Man, we couldn't even hear Malik. Can somebody else do it? I just hear. Can somebody read it? We just hear a lot in the background when Noble doing it. Somebody? Anybody?
The benediction, correct?
The Moorish American prayer again.
Okay. Allah, Father of the universe, Father of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Allah is our protector, our guide, and our salvation. By night and day, through his holy prophet, Noble Drew Ali, Shalom Aleichem, Ayah Asha'ayah, Hotep, Islam, Amen. Peace, 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 and gratitude, Noble Malik.
Peace.
Our Benedict, is Alonzo here? I don't think so. I guess I'll read it. But you can't have unity without you and I. You can't have unity without you and I, man. This is the uniting here at the BBT. The Creator created you in the likeness and his image. And I don't have no problem with none of that. I don't have a problem with none of that. Let's link up. But our benediction reads, may the benison of Allah be upon thine always, as thou should strive to be a credit to Allah. Make haste to bestow the acts of love upon all our brothers and sisters, and we all should do our best to shun all evil. Remember to take suckle of the breast of knowledge, wisdom, fortitude, charity, love, and all standing, that we all might know weakness, instability, and inconsistency. There is still the greater part of our nature that is. Amen. Ashe, El Rahman, Yahak, Yamuhamid, Ashe, Shalom, Alaikum. Peace, 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 peace. Y'all know what it is, man. Get with me. Anything y'all need, I love y'all, man. I love y'all, tribe, and I love everybody.
Peace.
Take us out, Noble.
Islam, peace and love.
Peace.
Peace.
Today's broadcast has been brought to you by mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z, where reading funds the mental. Also brought to you by bindedbooks.com, where treasures are bound. Be sure to get your herbal healing at Mayat Sons Teas, the tea of teas, divinely prepared at herbsofmayat.com. Be sure to check out all of the musical stylings by BH Music. That's bhbaymusic.com. And don't forget to get all of your everyday items and your religious regalia at moorishhabitat.com. For your everyday Moorish drip, be sure to check out moorsachi.com. And all of these companies are powered by ALO Design Pros. Design your online business strategy today.
mypdfbooks.com. That's books with a Z.
I'm a spirit speaking, truth seeking, heart reaching, knowledge leaking, seeds sowing, harvest reaping, man of meager meaning. I have yet to leave, I'm still breathing. To quit, I have no reason. I mean, I'm asleep, but I be trying to live my dream. I cannot even act if it's all easy. Either you gon' do it or you don't really. It ain't no in between. Baby, you can ask the sun. It's an everyday theme. Consistency in your routine is how you bring reality. Working like a slave, that's how I made this masterpiece. Living like a god, I lay at night, I rest in peace. They remember me, but I am not Haram or beef.